Hey, it's Luca, and welcome to the Luca Savazzi podcast. I remember having a conversation that started out completely fine and then suddenly took a turn. Someone I worked with used a word that I feel pretty strongly about. And so, of course, I shared my opinion. But they didn't see it as a big deal and started saying I was being a little too sensitive and that I shouldn't get so worked up about it. And I wasn't worked up. I was just very clear that I didn't appreciate the use of that word. But telling me not to get worked up got me worked up. And I'm not proud of what happened. But just like that, the conversation was no longer a conversation. It was an argument. And it wasn't even related to what we needed to discuss in the first place. And then I kept thinking about it, replaying it over and over in my head, thinking of what I should have said instead or what I could have done. And it didn't stop there. It didn't just affect my day, it kept me awake at night. And so that doubled the fun. So today I want to talk about conversations that get stuck and how to get these conversations to move forward again. Because when conversations get stuck, it's usually not about the content. It's almost always about the process of that conversation. But if we stay on content level, when we try to win, to prove a point, or to be right, and we don't step out of the content and into the process, that's where a conversation gets stuck. And it can look like raising our voices, interrupting, shutting down, showing nonverbal cues like rolling your eyes, crossing your arms, or, building up to that point where we just grab our stuff, slam the door, and walk away. And the interesting part is, emotion always overrides information. Imagine feeling tense, being all worked up, having strong feelings about something. And then someone starts reasoning with you, giving you logic, giving you answers, telling you what you should do or should feel instead. I don't know about you, but that's a recipe for disaster because it gets me worked up even more. In that moment, we don't need more instructions. We don't need more reasoning. We need a pause. We need to feel safe enough to be heard. We need space to reset. But how do you do that? The 4 steps I'm going to share with you are a structured way of leading conversations with more presence, ownership, connection, and courage. They help you become more aware of what's actually happening so that you can start moving again. It's a framework that I created because I needed it myself. And of course, it helped me in a lot of life and work conversations. The 4 steps spell the words on it. Observe, notice, invite, and turn. And it sounds simple, but it's not always easy. So how does it work? Imagine a conversation. Maybe it's you and your partner and you're bickering over something small that suddenly feels big. So the first step is to observe, which means zooming out as if you are looking at the conversation as a play, as the audience, as the director sitting in his chair. What's actually happening in the room? You can see the both of you sitting there. You see your partner. You see the tension building. Maybe you're leaning forward. You're getting sharp. Maybe your partner is shutting down and the room suddenly feels tight, heavy. All of that is observation. When you take that external view, you automatically step out of the content. You step out of who's right and into what's actually happening. So the second step is notice. What's actually happening inside you and between you two? What emotion are you feeling? Is your heart pounding? Are you shrinking? Do you feel attacked? Are you attacking? What's the effect this is having on your interaction? Are you interrupting each other? Are you tearing up, not listening, defending? Observing and noticing is about naming the facts and avoiding assumptions. We need to be present enough to pick up these cues and turn them into language. And if it's a conversation you're planning to have in the future, these 2 steps alone, observe and notice, can help you prepare in advance. What did you observe and notice in your last conversation? And how can you stay present to those cues when they happen again? Which brings us to the 3rd step, invite. This is where you share what you've observed and noticed, add your intention, and invite the other to share their perspective. In a conversation with a person you love and care about, it might sound like this. This conversation is starting to feel like a fight. My heart is pounding right now, and I'm feeling upset that we're talking to each other like this. I love you, and my intention is not to be right or wrong. I want to find a solution together. How are you experiencing this? Notice what it does. You're not accusing, you're not blaming, you're simply naming the process and the feelings. Imagine a conversation at work. In a meeting, you might say something like this. Let me pause for a second. It looks like we are stuck in a loop. We've had this conversation 2 times before, and I'm starting to feel frustrated that we're not making progress. My intention is to find a solution that works for the both of us and keeps us moving, and I'm trying to understand what's actually happening. What's your take on this? You're inviting the other person to step out of the content and into the process of the conversation in a way that feels natural and respectful. This also allows the other person to share their perspective and intention. And once you both shared your intentions and perspectives, you move into the last step. Let me quickly interrupt. I created the On It Reset that you can download for free using the link in the description below. It contains a pocket version of the 4 On It steps and the On It checklist that you can use whenever a conversation starts to feel stuck. That said, let's move on to the final step, which is turn. And it might sound like this. How can we turn this into something that helps us move forward? Or, what do you think if we park this conversation so we both have time to reflect? Or invite the other person to take a turn with something like, do you have any suggestions on how we can move forward? On It shifts the focus from the what to the how. And once you both agree on how you want to move, you can go back into what you're trying to achieve with more clarity. That's On It. Observe, notice, invite, and turn. And here's the cool thing. You can also use it on yourself. Are you someone who wants to speak up more in a meeting? Observe what's actually happening in meetings. Notice what's happening inside you. Invite yourself with intention and then turn it into one small action. On It can help you prepare conversations ahead of time, intervene while they're happening in real time, or reflect on them afterwards. It's for presence, so that you're not reacting, you're responding. And On It isn't just steps, it's a state. It's something that you carry into the room anytime, simply by saying, I'm on it. Before a difficult conversation, I'm on it. Before a meeting, I'm on it. Before a moment that matters, I'm on it. And that simple sentence activates the observer in you. Use it as a reminder that you're not going to react from impulse, but responding from intention and to always be on it. 4 steps, but it only takes one person to be on it and to help a conversation move forward. That's it for today's conversation. If you have a conversation coming up, or you had one and you were on it, I'd love to hear from you. Just drop a comment below. I read every message. And if you know someone who might need this, share it with them. I'm Luca, and I look forward to seeing you in our next conversation.